He thought he had control, thought he knew the code, but the game hit different when you ain't been on that road. He thought he had to pick, whole time he the lick. Talking like a boss, but he funding every trip. Welcome to the story where perception don't stick, where a player get exposed as the unknown trick. Taking the convo to high levels. Comment, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying Durable Minds Radio.
Don't necessarily correlate with what you know what I'm saying, what you saying, anything you got going on. At
Okay.
the end of the day, we over here talking about some real shit.
Let me ask you, how old are you, sir?
Listen, niggas is old.
How old are you, sir? How old are you, man?
Niggas is old.
What are you, 23?
Come on, bro.
You older than 23 or younger than 23?
Come on, bro. I ain't gonna say how
Okay,
old
look,
I'm is on
check it
this
out.
side.
I'm 35, sir. How old are you?
You feel me? I could say any number and you'll believe it.
Exactly. So just say any number.
Alright, I'm 24.
Okay. So now 24. Have you ever been in a relationship with a female that works a 9 to 5 job?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Now, did that female ever want to pay you? Because that's what we're talking about. A square female, money, square female's money equals asset or liability. So have you ever even received money from a square female? Why he get so? Where he go? Well, there goes that. Anybody else in the comments want to share their thoughts on this topic before I jump into it, right? Because I don't think the gentleman understood the real difference of an asset and a liability. And a lot of people are looking at the money as the asset or the liability, right? Like, oh, if you're getting money, it's obviously an asset. And it's really, you got to, in this lifestyle, you got to look deeper into it to where you understand that it's bigger than the money, right? To where the human being is actually the asset or the liability, right? The female is the asset or the liability. So when you ask yourself, do you want to receive money from a square female as the pimping? Is that an asset or a liability? Meaning you want to look at it totality, right? You want to look at it totality. The stable ain't going for that. Right. One says the stable wouldn't go for that, right? And one that's in the lifestyle should understand what they're saying, right? The stable wouldn't want to go for that, right? And then one, because you have the pimps was like, oh well, I control my stable. How what I say go, So that's why I wanted to bring this topic up, and we take a deep dive, right? We got lightly under 20 people up in here. Before I stay tuned in this topic, does anybody else want to come up and share their thoughts, right? Or if anybody wanted to put their thoughts in the comments, let's do so now. And also, the ones that are in here, if you could do me a favor and share this live and see if we could get some more outspoken people up in here. Nah, they'll be homeless, P. What you mean they'll be homeless? Now, when we throw answers out here, let's give some thought before we just, start rambling in the comments, right? Let's give some thoughts before we start rambling in the comments, right? Meaning, okay, what is an asset, right? So one would say an asset is adding value, right? And we're talking about adding value to the program, right? Adding strength to the program, right? Benefiting situations, right? Helps things grow, brings a positive value of support. Those are things that are considered an asset, right? Where everything functions better, right? As for, A liability, okay, one can receive money from the square female, and therefore it creates risk, right? It creates problems, right? It hurts what? The stable. And why does it hurt the stable? Because it creates and opens a door of complications, right? You know what I mean? Where it's creating a so-called potential of trouble, right? Instability. It can open up the door for instability. And one, that's, maybe a young adult in the game or just really thirsty to have some money might not understand that. And that's why we call them gentlemen, like, the max and the players, to where they're just like, oh, I'm getting the money. I'm not really caring. Is this an asset or is this a liability into the program? As for the pimp man, he's always thinking of that, right? He's always thinking, what's the next move being the best move, right? So within thinking that, they have to understand receiving money from square situations might not become an asset, right? See, pimping put all of that in consideration, knowing he's dealing with a female, understanding how far it can go dealing with a square female, right? How far it can go with dealing with a square female. For those that's in here, man, share the live so we can get some more people in here. And also put your thoughts in the comments, huh? Now, why would people pick asset? Why would some people, that's in the game, choose the asset part, right? Because it's extra money, right? It's a sense of stability, right? One can be like, oh, it divides the income, right? So now it's easier to wash your hands. All these little characteristics that one can throw out there, right? And it supports the lifestyle. She knows everything, this, that, and this, that, and the third, right? And then you would think, okay, now why is it a liability? Well, you can say it's a morality. It's a morality issue, right? Meaning, is it really moral to the lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? Is it a sense of mixing it to fix it? You know? To where, the females feelings are going to get involved, whether it's the square females feelings or whether it's the females that's down already with you. See, a lot of gentlemen might choose to get the square, females money because they really never been in a lifestyle. So they think in their head that they was in a lifestyle, but reality is they never was in the lifestyle. So now they like, oh man, get the square females money. What's wrong with that? And well, what's wrong with that is you just never been in the lifestyle. So it's really nothing wrong with that. We understand your point of view of it, but we're talking about the gentleman that's in the lifestyle that might have a stable already. You see what I'm saying? And I figured that out once I, posted this question and people start answering. I could get a sense of, most of the gentlemen that are answering an asset might not have the experience of having a stable. So they're looking at it in the lens of, oh, I'm just getting this money real quick. But if you have a stable, you got to understand that the roles can create confusion. That's a job for a Mac to get the square money. Right, you could say that too, right? The roles can get confused. You know what I'm saying? Roles can get confused. And also the rank, right? A part of the group, man, the rank is going to be confused too. Who's ranked or spending time and all of that, right? That's the factors, right? The female's roles won't really fit the lifestyle, and how is she going to contribute to the lifestyle, right? To where the real tension, the real issue is going to always stem from the identity. The real tension is always going to stem from the identity. Now the pimp man might think he got everything figured out. He done laid it out to the broads that's down. He done laid it out to the square female that's, trying to kick it to his pockets, and everything is copacetic. But reality is you're dealing with human beings. And human beings, when the identity is not clear, right? When the identity is not clear and there's a line of blurriness, you know what I'm saying? Then the rules, the same rules, doesn't apply and things like that. It will avoid the hard times, right? So the girl that's down, she's gonna always think in the gray area, like, is the girl that's working the job trying to avoid, the hard part of this lifestyle, you know, because they don't play by the same rules, you know, to where Pimp Man thought hey, look, this is, it is what it is, what it is, but still the roles, the identity is unclear. So it can't be that, right? Because it's very unclear. So a lot of confusion going on, right? The status, the female's ranking, right? Or if they do ranking, like, okay, the square, she's getting the money from the square, and the female that's down, he getting. So, the perception part gets confused, right? The all of that can play a part. Assumption, it might be favoritism, is always going to be there, because there's a blur within the situationship, right? There's no true identity in the situationship, right? Now, also, how does the contributing happen, right? Where does the square really contribute to the lifestyle? Just by giving the money? Okay, so now giving the money, is it for what? To benefit the pimping to keep growing and she just wants to see the pimping go up? Or do she have, a behind that, right? What is the true agenda behind giving, up the square dollars? Who we got up in here, man? Who we got up in here? Who we got up in here, huh? You know, clarity really matters, man. Clarity really matters when it comes to if the pimp should, receive the 9 to 5 money. The clarity is going to really matter, you know. And, there's, like I said, there's always pros to it, right? There's always going to be pros to it. Oh, pimping, man, that's extra income, hey, man, that's a different role, man. Hey, she might can bail out such and such, I get all of that. I understand all of that, right? I'm not, I'm not saying one that does deal with the square and break on the square female is not of this lifestyle. What I'm saying is it more of a liability or is it more of an asset, right? I get it, right? There is pros to that situation, right? But on the con side, on the flip side, right, the perception of exploitation is always there too, right? To where now, looking on the other side of the lens, one would say, pimping is what, square hustling females? Because he can't be hoe hustling, so I guess he 9 to 5 hustling, to where it's more of an exploitation, right? To where it's like, well, shit, she gave it to me, hey man, she knew what it was, and I get it, right? I get it. We're gonna get to why, True Peas or even the young cats that's still trying to, come up in this motherfucker choose to deal with that situation. We're gonna get into that. I just want to point out right now the cons, right? Basically the resentment, right? The resentment from the females that's in the stable. That's another con that's going to come within dealing with that square situation, right? The confusion of the position, Nobody, everybody in the stable ain't going to really know the clear position, including the pimping, you know. He gonna be trying to figure it, well, damn, okay, do I have, okay, do I fall back? Do I talk to her? Do I do, everybody's confused with the position, right? And then it comes a repetition issue. I mean, a repetition issue. It becomes a repetition issue, right? And, the females of the lifestyle, they real heavy on that repetition, you know, repetition, all of that. Now, why did the P's do this, man? Why do the P's, choose to break on the square female? You know what I'm saying? It's a short term gain. You know, a lot of the pimping is thinking it's a short term game, right? You know, to where you know, it won't last, you know, so they value the moment, right? Oh, okay, this little square female, she feeling me real quick and she really to break on her, you know, I already know it's not gonna last, so you feel me? It's a short term game, you know. It's a short term game, you know what I'm saying? Got a little extra cheese and whoop de wop. Now, is that a liability? I mean, she just gave you some money, I guess, but at the flip time, I mean, is it an asset? I guess. But at the same time, it could create a liability at the same time because her wanting to give that money, she might want something in return. And when you go cold turkey, and let's say you did let her know what it is, you let the square female know what time it was, and she gave you her little square dollars, and then you went cold turkey. Well, then you just, you know, open up a door for a square female to get in her feelings. And, you know, who knows what that square female is capable of doing to where now you create a liability for yourself. You know, a lot of the pimps, they look at it like an opportunity mindset, you know, an opportunity mindset, you know, meaning it's an opportunity over longevity. They're not really worried. They just sense the opportunity, you know. Now, in sensing that opportunity, I don't know, does one lower their morals or standards because they see the opportunity presented to themselves? You know, a lot of people see opportunities presented to themselves, but within, you know, being successful with that opportunity becomes sacrificial, right? To where they might have to compromise for that opportunity, right? Because if you're looking at the long term arrangement, then you're not really worried about that short term opportunity, right? A lot of P's be curious. A lot of P's be curious, man. They want to test the situation, right? You know, and this is the one that's most relatable to me. You know, they're curious. They want to test the situation. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they got a chance that the female might, you know, choose, you know, change her mind and choose into the lifestyle, right? So, you know, letting it play out, right? Letting it play out, right? That's more the most realistic one I be seeing. Most of the first two that I gave you, man, you know, they might not be in the lifestyle, right? This one right here, you know, where you're curious, you want to test it out. Okay, hey, you know, I done popped it at her. She feeling me. She already know what time it is. She broke a couple square dollars. You know, let's play this out. Let's see how it goes, right? Let's test the situation, right? Which is going to get me to most of these situations fade away, especially if you're true in the lifestyle, right? I'm going to get to how, you know, most pimps that do break on the square females, it tends to fade away. You know, that's just what's going to happen. It's just going to fade away. She working, but she don't focus on you. What you mean, Slick Vic? Come on up here, Slick Vic. Let me see if we get some people in here, or should I close it up? No, I'm gonna bring it back. Let me see if we get some people in here to talk on the topic real quick. Let's see. Slick Vic, what did you mean, sir? Did you want to come up? Did you want to come up? I'll send some invites for you gentlemen because I see a lot of new faces in here and I appreciate the new faces. If any of y'all wanted to tap in and share your thoughts, you could come on up. If not, you can share your thoughts in the comments. I highly appreciate that. Who we got up here? Oh, we got the gentleman back. What's going
What's
on,
up?
man?
What's
Ralph,
up with you, man?
why did you drop earlier, sir? Sir, are you there?
I I need some more understanding on the game, but that's it.
Sir. Okay.
Simple
I'll
as.
give you I'll give you some understanding, but you gotta act like you feel me. You know you're able to have a conversation. You're acting real slow right now. Like, are you high? Are you sipping the lean? Oh man, you slip. Why you answering so slow these questions, sir? What's wrong with you, man?
Man, listen, man. I ain't on this lie to get embarrassed, bro. You ever heard somebody
It's not about getting
say,
embarrassed. This is just about carrying yourself with a conversation. That's all I'm trying to have with you, sir. I'm not here to get aha moments. I'm really not. I'm really here to, if you take this lifestyle seriously and you a young man, I can't tell you what you is or what you ain't, but I can tell you you want to take it seriously. And that's all this is about. Meaning, once you get in this lifestyle, if you're dealing with some females that's in the game and now you feeling yourself and you start campaigning out square females and they want to give you their money, sometimes that is a liability. It's not always an asset. And that's what I'm pointing out to the young adults that think they're in the lifestyle, whether I say they are or they're not. You get what I'm saying? Or is
yeah,
that too
yeah.
much?
I'm picking up what you putting down.
I don't know, man. You seem like you a little stoned out of your mind right now. How do you is this how you talk to females? Is this how slow you talk to females? Bro,
What you want me to say? Like,
I just want you to say anything, brother. Anything, man. You ain't said nothing since you came up here.
that's what I'm
What you
saying.
smoke? You in Cali right now? You in the Bay?
No, I'm in a fat ass crib, fool.
Where you live? What side of town? Where you at? On the West Coast, East Coast?
I ain't gonna tell you where I live.
I said the West Coast, the East Coast, the South, the Midwest. You can't say one of them?
I stay in the south.
Okay. Okay. You got company with you? You got family? You got people over there in the background?
No, ain't nobody here with me.
Okay, you talking a little faster now, man. You got some water in the refrigerator? Maybe go hit some water. Go get some water real quick, man. We could chop it up, man. Talk this good game. You got any questions you want to ask her? Think about it, man. Take your time.
Man,
Mr. Route. Mr. Route. Mr. Route. You have to do better, sir. Mr. Route. Life is only going to get tougher for you. You have to do better. Mr. Route, you're going to have to be able to carry a conversation. You got to be able to elaborate your words. You can't be worried about everybody else, right? Because when you think like that, right, the reality is everybody else is nervous or shy or don't want to be embarrassed just like you. So it don't matter. Use your words. Use your words confidently. And if you're going to smoke or do whatever, understand that you have control of that shit so you could still be able to be functional. You know? You can still be able to be functional, sir. And like I said, these are the type of dudes, the young gentleman right here, that, and not just him, but any younger gentleman in the lifestyle or think they're in the lifestyle, they will have an opportunity to deal with a lot of square females, 9 to 5 square females working, and these females like them, right? And they would, want to give them their little money to help them up in life. But they're so stubborn of thinking that they're in a lifestyle that they're gonna, miss out on the opportunity of a female that truly likes them, you know, because they're thinking, oh, she giving me money and it's an asset. When reality is it a liability, right? Especially when you're in the lifestyle. Now, if you're in the square world and the square girl giving you money, it can always be an asset because it shows that you like her. But if you have the mindset of you in a different type of lifestyle, then therefore you just shot yourself in the foot. Now, I don't know if that young gentleman, takes this game as seriously as the next young gentleman that's in here, right? So I'm really talking to the next level young gentlemen, right? To where they like, man, they getting it everywhere. You feel me? They got some females is down. Every time they step out, square females is on them. You know, they having it their way all around the way. You know what I'm saying? To where now they have to start thinking, is this square dollars? If I'm still trying to turn this square female out, but she like me and she want to give me, is this going to be an asset or a liability, right? Am I really true to this lifestyle or not? Mr. Keith, come on up. Mr. Keith, come on up. And if you guys are sharing this live, I appreciate it, man. We at 25, man. Let's see if we could get up there more. You know, who do we have? Is Mr. Keith coming up or not? I see you sent the invite. Mr. Keith.
Going on?
Mr. Keith, what's going on, Mr. Keith? What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, man.
What's your take? What's your take? Oh, you going in and out on this. You're going in and out on this, Mr. Keith. Is he back? Are you back? There you go. Mr. Keith, we can't hear
Man,
you.
bro.
There you go. There you go. You're back.
I'm gonna let you know something, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, are we talking about a subject about a pimp going a 9 to 5, or what is the subject?
Okay, we're talking about a gentleman of the lifestyle, right? Meaning, you know, a pimp doing some pimping, meaning he has a stable, right? And the opportunity presents to him a female that's not in the lifestyle, a square female that has a 9 to 5 job, wants to give him some of, you know, that money, that square money. Is that an asset or is that a liability to that female? Keith, are you there? Keith, are you still with us, sir? All right. I think Keith left, right? Oh, yeah, he's gone. He's still up here on my screen. They need to get it right. They need to get it right, bro. I don't know what happened to Keith, but now it looks like he's on the screen. And now I can't bring the picture back up. But it's all right, right? We're going to keep on keeping on. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see real quick. All right. It's not going to let me take his screen off. It does when more people come up. If anybody else wanted to come up, I'll bring you up real quick, then drop you down so I can get my screen back, so I can get a little picture. But it's all good. We understand the topic. The topic is in the comments, pinned. And let me see what these comments say. I seen a couple comment. Liability square over time starts to think she's the P. Retirement plan from the game. Her future has been an acorn, has potential to be an oak tree, but just because something has potential to be big doesn't mean it is. Yeah, I mean, y'all touching on points, and my thing is this, right? So when you say the liability to square over time starts to think she's the P, right? I'm not really looking into the square's mindset right now. I'm looking more in the pimp's mindset to where is it a liability or now understanding pimping that's receiving the square dollars. I'm pretty sure the pimp in his head already knows that the square, that's the catch, right? To where a true pimp that's really taking it seriously, he's just curious. The reason he's curious is because he already knows the square female's true intentions. You know what I'm saying? To where now he's testing the situation out to see if she's really, you know, wanting to choose and jump into his world. You get what I'm saying? To where he's just letting it play out. He's already understanding the female's total agenda. Now, a man that is just looking for an opportunity, looking for a short-term gain, right? Now, that gentleman, he might, you know, get caught in that trap to where the female, he's blind to seeing the square female trying to change him and want to be his husband. He's blind to the fact of that. He's blind because he just looked as an opportunist mindset. You get what I'm saying? Liability of risk is conflict of interest. I'm breaking on a couple of squares and it's only about time before they fly away. And even breaking on a couple squares. So I don't know if you want to come up here, choices. I would like to ask you a question. Now, when you're breaking on these squares, do you let the stable know, or are you doing this on your own? And there's no right answer. I just want to bring a branch off to this topic, right? A lot of people's ego, and they're looking for validation. So that's another reason that they will, try to break on the square and get the square dollars because of their ego, and they're trying to get the validation, right? You know, the lack of a long-term plan is, the mindset of a dude that's just a hustler that's trying to get some money to Mac, right? As for the pimp, is always going to be looking for the long-term planning. So he understands if the square dollars is only short-term, he might turn it down, right? Because he's always thinking of a long-term plan. You get what I'm saying? Now, if the female, he was in some curiosity type way, then it's a little different. It's not the stable business, what I do and how I'm doing it. Yeah, but that wasn't my question. We understand it's not their business. We understand they have a job to do. But my question is, why don't you tell them? Why do you tell yourself it's not their business? And why don't you just be like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I tell them. If I tell them, then that's really going to showcase if they understand who I am or not. I mean, I'm just asking. So, within not hiding, are you saying like, oh, I'm trying to turn this square female out, or this square female likes me, so I'm gonna get her money? If you was to tell your stable, I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying if you was, how would the pimpin' think about it? You know.
He thought he had control, thought he knew the code, but the game hit different when you ain't been on that road. He thought he had to pick, whole time he the lick, talking like a boss, but he funding every trip. Welcome to the story where perception don't stick, where a player get exposed as the unknown trick.